What up, fellow agents? PurePrime here. They just ended the state of the game. They talked about bans, they talked about the AR buff, and they talked about the named gear. Are you ready? Let's go! What up, guys? Thanks for clicking my content. Another video today. The state of the game just ended and they talked about a few things. But let's address the bans, or the 7-day suspensions first, because in my opinion it's just a suspension. You know, it's not great that you can play for a week. I will be freaking angry if I couldn't play for a week, of course. But yeah, you can be back again after 7 days, of course, with a little reroll of all your gear. But that's all I'm saying, guys. I'm not touching this anymore because there are so many toxic comments, guys. It's unbelievable, and even the content creators are attacking each other on the social medias. Come on. Of course, the community is split about this, if this is a good choice or not, and everybody can have their opinion on it, of course. But come on, guys, calling each other out, pointing who needs to be banned and who doesn't. So I will show you what they have to say about it and what they said on State of the Game. And if you think that you are banned for no reason, or you have a feeling that you are mistreated, you can go to the Ubisoft website and submit a ticket and they will help you out. So let's see what they talked about, or why they banned the people for 7 days.
Let's start things off with a bit of context, a bit of history about what's been going on. So for people who maybe don't know, or are just showing up into the chat and being like, what is happening? Where are we at?
Yeah, so again, I just want to mention that because you said it in the intro. So we'll address the suspension wave right now and the DPS exploit right now. So we were made aware of a DPS exploit that was done by interacting with a turret, and there were different variations of it and all that stuff. And we were trying to fix it as quickly as we can, but unfortunately there were different levels of the fixes that went out that didn't fully work. So people found new ways to do it. And then we were finally able to fix it to a point where we were comfortable to look into other things that would happen to the people that have systematically exploited this bug, right?
Can we just hit the timeline a little bit? So when did this happen? Because I think the date of the 17th is going to be, something.
Exactly. Yeah, about. Exactly. So it's the week of the 17th is basically when we were made aware of this. We also, if I remember correctly, already put out a fix on the 20th to work on this and improve the situation. And then over the weekend, we learned that there was more, and we did more fixes the week afterwards to help with this. And then basically last week is where we were at a point where we first had another fix go out that stopped interaction to allow the ridiculous amount of damage stacking. And I want to say this now, yes, we are aware that there's more out there, and we're going to work on that. But at that point, we were also lucky enough to have the time and breathe over the weekend to make sure that we can look at data to identify people that have used the exploit.
So we're now in the situation where yesterday, people who have had their account flagged with that activity, we won't go into exactly the numbers of people that have had that, or exactly the numbers that have been used to detect that. But those people were given a 1-week suspension and a rollback to the 17th, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. I also want to say, like, I've seen some comments of people saying, like, oh, like, you probably looked at my group, or you looked at, like, I did something with other people and stuff like that. I just want to clarify, and Hamish said it very well, we will not tell you how exactly we detected it, simply because we don't want other people to avoid this detection method in case something else comes up and down the line. But we looked at a account. So we didn't look at who you were in a group. We didn't look at if you were doing something else with some people, if there were 50 million other people, it doesn't really matter. We really looked at your account and what you have been doing with the data and the criteria that we had. So this gave us a very strong confidence on the suspensions, because we could rule out that you were basically just caught in a random matchmaking group that had nothing to do with the suspension at all.
Some people who are saying that they've been grouped up with people or it happened. I've been talking to some people who have been part of the team that have put this suspension wave together, and also it's better to call what it is because there have been no bans. Let's make sure that we call it what it is. No one has been banned, so everyone who's had action taken against their account will be able to play the game again next week. But when we do get reports, and you should report if you feel like actions have been taken against your account unfairly, do let us know. That's the same with everything. Every time there's bugs or things that you don't think are going right, we do want to know about it. But those have been independently looked at where we can on those cases. And what we've seen is that in reality, those accounts that have claimed that have been shown to have that they've been basically exploiting. That's not to say that there haven't been some false positives, so do keep letting us know if you have been unfairly had sanctions taken against your account, so Ubisoft support can help you out.
Yeah, and that is more a general thing, right? Like if you ever feel like there's something wrong with your account, or if you feel that you weren't even online the last 2 weeks, reach out. We, again, have been very diligent on doing this. That's why we didn't do it last week. We took the extra time, and that's where we are right now. One thing that I want to also say, because you brought it up a little bit, narrative, right? So I've seen a lot of people on Twitter tagging me and on Reddit and everything saying like, oh, like it's they suspended like 50% of the player base. Nowhere near that amount, not at all. We're also seeing a lot of people that had no idea what that exploit is. You have to understand, Reddit is not the universe. There are a lot of people that have never been on Reddit. They never go on Twitter. They don't do anything. They just play the game on their Xbox or on their PlayStation or the PC and Stadia, and they just play with their friends and they have a good time. We have millions of players, and while the suspension wave was significant, it was nowhere near 50% or anything like that. So I just want to stop that narrative, and also then have that discussion end up of being misleading, where people are saying like, oh, like next week there will be no players anymore, there will be no matchmaking. Yeah, I think it's really important to once again clarify that we do take actions when we can verify for 100% what's happening. So if we find an exploit, if we can reproduce it, if we can fix it, all that stuff is great. And then again, we will look at our data. We can't look at player reports only. We can't look at screenshots or on clips or whatever. That is not enough for us. We need to be 100% certain that what we're doing is correct. So for every exploit, no matter what it is, we will look at our internal findings. Obviously, we're going to use the reports that we're getting to make some connections and all that stuff. So please send them over. That's totally important. But then on your first offense, as we now did it, you'll get a 7-day suspension. And if there's another exploit and you haven't learned from the first exploit happening and you're using it and you're getting a suspension, the next one can be a permanent suspension. That means you will lose access to your Division 2 account.
Then over to the up and coming changes. They released quite big patch notes and they're going to change a lot of things this month. I will leave the patch notes in the descriptions down below, but let's talk about the things that aren't in the patch notes. Because they're gonna change some things about the named gear, they're gonna buff the assault rifles, the gear sets will be in the open world, and the focus talent is not working as intended. So let's start with the AR buff. Like we know, the meta is an LMG or a rifle. And without nerfing the LMG and or the rifle too much, they are bringing the AR up. For example, boosting the health damage that we can find as a core attribute. And talking about the meta, we got 3 different gear pieces, or the named gear that are the best in slot gear pieces at the moment. The Contractor's Gloves, the Hollow Man Mask, and the Fox Prayer's knee pads. These are too overpowered in the eyes of the devs. Or they block the build diversity in the game, so they're getting a slight nerf. But they like to keep the best in slot gear. So they will nerf it a little bit, but only to get all the gear sets a little bit closer to each other. And then for the other named items or the named gear, they are getting a little buff or a little rework. Like the Punch Drunk Mask will be around 20% headshot damage instead of that 10.9 it is now. The Claws Out holster will be skill tier, what it always be intended, and they will raise the melee damage from 200% to 500%. And guys, keep in mind, these are numbers they are still working with. So it could be that these are not the numbers that will come out with the updates. Then the focus talent, guys, has not been working as intended, and yeah, we already knew that. Of course, getting an M1A 50% extra damage with the perfect focus behind the shield, yeah, that wasn't intended, guys. That wasn't intended. The intended way of this talent was that is a sniper talent. So literally focusing or shooting through your scope higher than 8 times. And not just behind the safety of a shield. And then for the last thing, the gear sets will be in the open world. So all the year 1 gear sets will be in the open world and not locked behind the raid. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for today. A lot of other changes coming in the next few weeks. They're keeping us up to date, just like some changes to the exotics, guys. So keep an eye on the channel and I will keep you informed. But that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to smash that like button and hit that subscribers button. And of course the notification bell. PurePrime out.